What is going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm YouTubes. Today on a Tuesday afternoon, got Jon Impemba with me. I am Dan Servodidio. Got our producer Adam Bernard behind the scenes as well. How you doing, man? How you doing, John?
I'm doing pretty good. Like you said, it's a Tuesday here. We got just 4 games on the NBA slate. We're coming off of a pretty fun or interesting Monday Night Football game, to say the least, here. And, just kind of working our way towards the weekend.
Yeah, we will get to some NBA, some college basketball, some NHL picks for all of tonight's games from us three. Bringing our producer for some NHL. Gotta just quickly recap this Monday night game because listen, John, I'm playing hurt today. All right, my pride and my fandom is hurt after a while. That still picture of Jackson Smith and Jigba catching the game-winning touchdown was. That's a rough thing to see right now. I've seen too many replays of this already. I don't know your reaction to the Drew Lock leading that game-winning touchdown drive for the Seahawks last night.
Another year in Seattle where a quarterback many had written off, didn't write back. Drew Lock out here leading Seattle to a win over Philly. Philly now, a little bit of a skid, right? Since they beat the Chiefs and. They looked a little slow. I don't know if that's even the right word, but it felt like yesterday at times, they weren't playing with the pace that I would have expected them to play with against the Seattle team that had no Witherspoon, had no Jamal Adams. Like I would have thought that they would have been able to find more success throwing the football in that game. And, they didn't really attack it the way I thought they were going to be able to. They found some success running the football with Swift, but it feels like they didn't commit to that enough at times. Very, very weird game played by them. Sometimes that happens though when you go on the road. And who knows? We know Jalen Hurts was obviously sick. Maybe there was other players in that locker room that are dealing with the illness as well, and kind of just caused them to be a bit sluggish there. But certainly not an outcome many were expecting for sure.
Yeah, the Jalen Hurts coming in with the flu-like symptoms or whatever. I mean, he was running a lot, and that was one of the props I gave out on yesterday's show was his rushing yards, and that hit fine. But yeah, he had the weird pick, in the end zone on a deep ball, and it looked like at times the Eagles could have gone up, multiple scores and tried to put it away, but they just let the Seahawks hang around. And yeah, I mean, you can't give the ball back to a team, even though it's a backup quarterback like Drew Lock, and just expect to win. I gotta say, watching it, I was very nervous. As soon as they gave the ball back to the Seahawks, I was like, they're probably gonna go down and score. This is,
that's a Matt Patricia-led defense now, So
being fan, all too well the recent struggles of Matt Patricia's defenses. Yeah, that was a weird thing too, because that was I read more about that yesterday, but also after the fact that. They made the kind of change, behind the scenes earlier in the week that he would be calling plays, and the DC Sean Desai was up in the booth. But the players all didn't know for sure until midweek too that would be coming. So that's a weird aspect. I mean, the defense, besides a couple of those drives, the defense was fine, but yeah, the offense and Hurts were just a little sluggish at times, as you're saying. I mean. It seemed like they should have been up multiple scores, and the way they were kind of handling the game, and Drew Lock was struggling. I mean, but yeah, crazy ending. I feel like got so many of these cool, crazy endings in primetime games, especially Monday Night Football. The NFL is writing a good script so far.
Right, for sure.
All right, let's turn to tonight's games. We got NBA, college basketball, NHL picks to give out here. If you get any of your own bets, props, anything you want to throw at us, hit us up in the chat here on YouTube, whether you're watching on Fantasy Alarm or Bettor Sports Network YouTubes. Throw it at us in the chat here as we go along. Let's start with NBA here. Smaller slate for you, John, but we got a couple TNT games, so that should be fun if you want to get some picks going for these nationally televised games. And I know you got a few here, props and game bets here.
Yeah, I'm just throwing this in our Discord as well. So those of you who are tuning in, you can check that out there. We got the return of John Morant here tonight. So that's a big storyline. around the NBA, coming back from his suspension here. So I figured why not throw a John Morant prop out there early and attack it early. I feel like the adrenaline's going to be up there. He's going to be looking to get his shots. Now they're on the road here against New Orleans, and New Orleans certainly plays some good defense. So probably have Herb Jones cover him. He kind of covers everybody from the guard to the forward positions. But John Morant's plus 100 over 5.5 first quarter points. I am not too worried really about the conditioning because this wasn't an injury that John Morant was dealing with. It was a suspension. He was allowed to be around the team. He's allowed to practice, and all that stuff. He just couldn't get in games here. So I think he's going to be conditioning wise, pretty good to go here. Last year he had a 35% usage rate. Just an insane breakout season for Morant. They kind of just got in his own way, obviously with the multiple suspensions there. So I'm looking for him to come out firing and going over the 5.5 points here at plus money feels like a line that's only going to go up as these games progress. So wanted to attack that one early there with Ja.
I like the first quarter points here that you're going with because who knows about his conditioning, as you said. He's been practicing with the team. It's not an injury that he's coming off of, but I think the first quarter you expect him to come out strong, and maybe towards the end of the game maybe he does falter just a little bit. But I do think early on he's going to try to show people that he's still one of the top playmakers in the NBA. So like that call, getting the first quarter line.
Again, I'm just excited to get him back on the floor. Like, again, all off the court things aside, when he is on the floor, he's such an exciting player to watch. He can do a lot of great things and really help this Memphis team, which really needs it. I mean, they are, they've been one of the worst teams in the NBA at this point. That they're getting Ja back soon. They're going to have Marcus Smart come back, and Luke Kennard helps them off their bench. So that team is slowly getting healthier.
Yeah, and that's the first TNT game of the night too, right? To kick off the night, and 228 over under too in that game. You got another pick in this one too, right on the other side?
Yeah, I do. Jonas Valanciunas here, man's been an absolute animal lately. What we love about Valanciunas right now is they're giving him all the minutes. So they've had times this year where they have kind of limited him in the mid-20s, but of late they've been letting him play 30 plus, and he's been playing those 30 plus minutes. He's been an absolute rebounding machine. So we're going to take the over 11.5 rebounds here for Valanciunas. On the other side of this game, I mean, they're starting Jaren Jackson. They've started Jaren Jackson at the 5. They've gone back to Xavier Tillman. Xavier Tillman started last night. He's a very undersized center. They don't really rebound all that well. Jaren Jackson Jr. doesn't rebound all that well. Tillman's okay rebounder, but again, it's giving up a lot of size and physicality to Valanciunas here. So I'm liking Valanciunas over the 11.5 boards in this one. He's been honestly maybe over the last week or so the best player on the Pelicans, which includes Zion and Ingram and McCollum. Looking down the stat lines, Valanciunas has been very difficult to deal with for opponents.
Yeah, the 11.5 line, you're not scared about that, getting at least 12 boards there.
No, like I said, he's gone over to this total now. We've last 3 games, 15, 13, and 18 rebounds for him going up against the Spurs, Hornets, and Wizards. He had 13 rebounds against Minnesota the game before that, where they have Towns and Gobert. So, going over this total in 4 straight games since the in-season tournament basically ended for them. So I do think that this, as long as these minutes are going to be there for him, he's been a pretty dominant rebounder on the year.
Gotcha. All right, you got a couple picks in this Celtics Warriors game, which is the other TNT game tonight, right?
Yep. Homer plays here, sort of. I think the Celtics given 5.5 here on the road. I know it's rare that you see Golden State as a home underdog, and there's reasons obviously to kind of back Golden State because of that. But Boston's rolling in here on a 5-game winning streak. They should be healthy tonight. Expectations are that Kristaps Porzingis will play here. And when their starting 5 is going the way they're going, they're very difficult, I think, to match up with, especially when you look on the other side here where, Golden State's without Draymond Green. They've had to shift Andrew Wiggins to the bench due to poor play. Chris Paul may not play here tonight. So just kind of an influx Golden State team now running up against a Celtics team that is really playing some of its best basketball. So I like the Celtics minus 5.5 here on the road against Golden State. And then I'll go with Derek White as well. Over 8.5 assists and rebounds. Really one of the unsung heroes, I'll say, in the early part of the year for Boston. seemingly the most consistent player on their team when it comes to night-to-night production. He may not always have the highest ceiling, but he's a guy that's averaging 5.1 assists and 4 rebounds per game. So he's averaging 9.1 assists and rebounds per game on the year. This number tonight, again, is sitting at 8.5. And if there's no Chris Paul, if they have to go to the young players like Podzinski or Moody, it matches up really well for Derek White here. So, again, I figure him to be pretty highly involved in this game. He's gone over this total, with ease over the last 2 games with 9 and 12 assists plus rebounds against Orlando. So, fine running Derek White out here against Golden State tonight.
A couple of homer picks from our Celtics fan here, Jon Impemba.
Yeah, like I said, it's sometimes you kind of like hide the fandom. You just look at the numbers, and this feels like a good spot for both of these plays here.
But also, you use the fandom to your advantage, knowing what can happen because you pay attention and know just these guys a little bit more. I mean,
yeah, especially in the NBA where like rotations really matter and sort of usage rates and how players are used on the court. I'll never forget. I once did a prop for this is when Mikal Bridges was on the Phoenix Suns, and I forget what prop it might have been, like a rebounding prop or a PRA prop. And again, I love watching basketball. I watch a lot of the NBA and all that stuff. But Bridges' role at the time with Phoenix was to just stand in the corner and just get like weak side plays and kick out threes. I'm like, he'll never hit this prop the way he's going. If this is what he's supposed to do in this game, where like Booker and Paul and everybody else is being more of the offensive first plays. So having like sort of that in-depth knowledge of what a guy's role is on the floor and how he plays certainly, lends its advantages per se when it comes to picking out these props.
Yeah. And then you got one more prop here for the Spurs-Bucks game, right?
Yeah, I do. We're going to go back to the Chris Middleton first quarter point well. I think the last time I was on this show, I gave it out, and he went 0 in the first quarter and then came in the second quarter and scored 9 points, and I was pretty upset about that. So it's 3.5 again. What I like about this prop is a couple of things. One, this is a game that has a 250 game total where Milwaukee is a 16.5 point favorite. So massive home favorites here for Milwaukee. But Giannis is also an early sub guy in their rotation. So there's going to be a point in the first quarter where Giannis comes out of this game. Middleton should stay on the floor with Dame Lillard. So there's an opportunity for him to hit a couple of buckets early in this game. And you're getting plus odds. So going Middleton here just needs two baskets to go over this total in the first quarter against a team that they're huge favorites on and a high game total. San Antonio does not play good defense. They play at a high pace. So just need a couple of buckets out of Middleton here, and hopefully he'll get them early for us.
Yeah, and with the large spread in this game too, I feel like the first quarter bet on his picks on his points is a better pick than maybe the full game points. Yeah,
agreed. I was looking to see if we could find a Giannis first half prop line. I wasn't able to find his first half scoring, but like that would be one that I would take a look at as well because he gets subbed out early in the first, but then he plays the majority of the second quarter. So he's on the floor a ton when like Lillard gets subbed out and Middleton gets subbed out. If you can find a first half scoring prop on Giannis here tonight, that's certainly one to take a look at.
All right, we'll keep an eye out for that. I know you can find that on different sports books if it's not on BetMGM or whatnot. All right, so that's some NBA for tonight. I know over on Fantasy Alarm, you have the DFS playbook right for tonight.
I had it for yesterday. I think tonight is Dylan.
Okay. That was Dylan then I saw. Yeah, so that's live right now. I saw up on Fantasy Alarm. So check that out. Fantasy Alarm All-Pro subscription. And I know after we're done here, you and James Grande are live on the NBA DFS live show, Fantasy Alarm, Bettor Sports Network, YouTube. But, yeah, get the All-Pro subscription. I know there's a Best Bets article from Iggy Gilbert up there right now on Fantasy Alarm, too, that you can get with this All-Pro subscription. Scan that QR code right on the screen. Go to fantasyalarm.com/let's go. 50% off the first month with this All-Pro subscription. I got the college basketball DFS playbook live up on fantasyalarm.com right now. And I got some college basketball bets for tonight with this, interesting slate. We got some good non-conference games, a couple of Big East matchups as well. First one I'll throw out here, Florida against Michigan. This is going to be a really good game. It's a neutral court actually in North Carolina. It's the Jumpman Classic, Michael Jordan hosting it.
Yeah.
But with this being in Charlotte, honestly, I think we're going to get more Florida fans in this game in the stadium than Michigan, in my opinion, which kind of gives a little boost to Florida. But overall, neutral court, I have Florida as just a little bit tier above Michigan this season. And I think they're rightful favorites here. So 3 points is the spread here, but I do think they can get a little bit more comfortable win here. They're just with a more balanced team, in my opinion. They're top 60 offense, top 60 defense this year. Michigan has a good offense, top 20 offense, but their defense is below average. They also play at a slower pace, which I think is going to matter a lot here because Florida's a team that likes to push the pace. They're a top 20 tempo team in college basketball, and I think it's going to be tough for Michigan to match. They have, a really good duo in Doug McDaniel, Olivier Nakuma, but I think if Michigan can get if they're able to get consistent play from their secondary guys, then this should be a closer game, but I don't think they will. It's been very inconsistent outside of those top two guys. I mean, they've had some big games from their other, role players, but Florida's just a more balanced team in the backcourt and in the front court, and their size and skill down low in this matchup, I think, is going to make a difference here because Michigan's a little bit more undersized and not as much skill outside of Nakuma, who's more of a power forward, but Florida has multiple guys that are 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot in the front court, which I think is going to matter a lot here. Especially if it's just kind of like an up-tempo game, and if Michigan's not able to score inside and they're more reliant on three-point shooting, and they start missing these perimeter shots, then it could get away from them. So yeah, I'm going Florida here. Small favorites here on a neutral court setting.
Yeah, again, looking at the matchup here and looking at the spread, it feels like it's a good matchup for them.
Yeah, it's a high-scoring game, too. 157.5 is a high total for college basketball. But, again, Florida's used to playing in these faster-paced games. Michigan's had trouble matching some pace this year with different teams. But, yeah, I think Florida should get this one. Another one here, going to the Virginia-Memphis game. This is another very good non-conference game to watch tonight if you're interested. Two ranked teams, too, here. The total's at 132.5. And I realize it's low because Virginia is a team that continually plays in lower scoring games. They have one of the slowest paces in all of college basketball and have for years. If you know college hoops, you know that's Virginia. But Memphis comes in here playing at a top 20 pace. And I think they're going to force Virginia to speed up here and force them to match their tempo to keep this close. It's a home game here. It's at Memphis for the Tigers. And I think that aspect of it, Virginia going on the road, I think their defense might struggle a little bit to slow down Memphis in transition. But I think going on the road too is just a little bit tougher to keep it slower tempo that Virginia likes to do. I mean, at home, Virginia keeps these games very low scoring, defensive minded, and they have a strong defense, but I think on the road is a little bit different aspect when you're talking about Virginia's, low scoring tendencies. So got a slight over here. Memphis is 7-3 to the over this year, and they've, as I was talking here, they've sped up some slower paced teams already this year multiple times. Texas A&M, Clemson, VCU, Ole Miss, Villanova. These are all games that I think of those, only one of them hit the under, but all those instances they sped up some of these slower paced teams that you have to match Memphis's tempo. They try to get out and run. They try to get in transition to really match them on the scoreboard. So Virginia's shown the ability to do that, though. They've had 2 games against some up-tempo teams, Florida and Syracuse, and both games went over their total this year. UVA matched their pace and won both games, actually. So not out of the question if Virginia could win this outright. I'd be interested in taking them plus 3.5, but just looking at the over here, I do think it's going to be just a little bit higher scoring than this line because it's low because it's Virginia involved. But if this was any other team besides Virginia, I think this total will be, over 140. So, just looking at the over in this one.
Yeah, we look at a lot of the matchups in the NBA too when you have like a high-paced team versus a low-paced team. And, while it may not always be, a great pace spot, obviously, for the high pace team having to run up against a low pace team, the fact that the slow pace team is going to have to play quicker generally still allows these matchups to hit the over just based off the overall game pace of play here. So I like it. You're not too worried about one team playing slow if the other team plays so fast. Because like you said, if they try to play slow and now they're down possessions because they're not scoring, and the other team's going down, Memphis is just scoring at much quicker pace, they're going to have to naturally play quicker to keep up. So I like it.
Yeah, and it matters that Memphis is the home team here as the faster paced squad because Virginia has to match it. Again, like I said earlier, if they were at home, Virginia, then they usually do force teams to play at their slower pace, but on the road they tend to have to match other teams' quicker paces, shooting more threes too, which is I think another one that's just going to help this game go a little over. All right, next one here. Got St. Mary's at home as a big favorite at home against Middle Tennessee State. But I'm fine, laying these points and grabbing St. Mary's to cover this big spread. This is Middle Tennessee's first true road game of the season. They've played some neutral courts, but a lot of their games have been at home. But this is the first time they actually have to go on a true road game, and it's it's a tough place to play. St. Mary's is a smaller arena there. And it's a travel to California for a team from Tennessee. I just can't overlook that for a team that, again, has not played on the road this year. They did play in a Bahamas tournament earlier around Thanksgiving, but even in that, they went 0-3 against the spread in those 3 neutral court games, including a pair of double-digit losses to Ohio and UIC. The fact that this is the first true road game for Middle Tennessee is one thing, but this is also by far the toughest opponent that Middle Tennessee State has played at all this year. This is a big step up in competition. They have not yet played, a non-con opponent that's on St. Mary's level. St. Mary's 6-5 record. It does not look great on paper, but they've played a very tough non-con schedule. Very battle tested coming into this. They have their losses are like to San Diego State, Xavier, Utah, Boise State. I mean, these are all respectable losses, but when they've played, teams that are notably on a lower tier than them, they are usually winning comfortably. And on the flip side, this is the easiest opponent for St. Mary's so far this year. Again, they've played a tough schedule, but this is, rankings wise, advanced metrics. This is the easiest opponent that they've faced. And they got, again, Middle Tennessee going on the road for the first time in their home stadium. I just think it's a big mismatch. And the main thing here is that I look at St. Mary's being a top 20 defense in the country. Middle Tennessee is 305th in offensive efficiency in college basketball. It's going to be tough for them to really, I think there's going to be a lot of scoreless droughts for Middle Tennessee in this spot, especially inside. On the other side of the game is that Middle Tennessee has a poor interior defense. I think it's going to be trouble against St. Mary's front court, which, has 2 really good guys, Mitchell Saxon, Joshua Jefferson. That combo, I think, is really going to exploit this softer front court defense for Middle Tennessee. So give me St. Mary's here as the big favorites. I'm not scared of the spread here, though.
Right. Yeah, listen, St. Mary's went on the road and beat a ranked Colorado team, right? So they're definitely one that can handle themselves. You mentioned Jefferson there. He went 16-13 in that game. So handling Colorado, one of their 2 losses on the season. Now they're big home favorites here. So I don't mind it. It's a good call.
Yeah, it's very much a step down in competition for them, but I think they're going to roll. All right, last one here. Going to the Big East. We got Big East play starting up tonight for a few different teams. Marquette Providence is another big game, but I'm going to Georgetown on the road at Butler here. And this is just too many points for Georgetown to be getting, with both teams starting up their conference play. Georgetown is not a great team. They haven't been great for a few years now, but again, this is just too many points for an Ed Cooley coach team who, from his years at Providence, he's now at Georgetown. He has plenty of experience, in Big East play on the road at Butler. He's going to have his team ready for this environment. Even though they are, a tier below Butler this season. I think this game is going to play out very much a lot closer than what this spread is. Cooley brings in all of his experience from Providence playing against Butler in Big East play, and I think that's really going to matter here. Going back and looking, so Ed Cooley's, it's not apples to apples. Providence was a lot better than what Georgetown was, and now Cooley's at Georgetown. But his Providence teams went 2-0 against Butler last year, and he's 11-3 straight up against Butler over the last 6 years. Again, Providence was a much better team, but I think that just that experience and knowing, going into Butler, but also, like one of Butler's best players is Posh Alexander, who played at St. John's, still some Big East ties there. I think he's going to know how to slow down this team. And Georgetown's a team that can, if they start hitting some threes, they can get hot and keep this close. And for what it's worth, the last 10 meetings between Georgetown and Butler, again, not totally apples to apples, but last 10 games between these teams, Georgetown lost by more than 10 points only twice in those 10 games, which I think is notable because Butler has been the better team over like the past half decade. So, give me Georgetown here on the road to cover this spread.
I mean, they're just coming off of a road win as well against Notre Dame there.
They did, yeah. They're trending up a little bit. They've had some early losses, but
are they a live upset win team, you think, tonight or no?
Honestly, I think they are. I wouldn't give that out as one of my bets, but the money lines, I'm not sure where it is. It's probably very.
I was saying a 10-point spread. The way you're talking about them, maybe keeping it close. Those are always the ones that maybe a shot does fall at the end of the game, and now they're pulling off the upset. Plus, they also have two really tough matchups, obviously coming up against two ranked teams on the road against Marquette after this, and then they face Creighton. So,
this would be to your point though, that this is a game where Georgetown can probably see we have a better chance at winning this to start out conference play with some of our tougher games coming up against the top tier of the Big East. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they stole this one. I mean, they've had some, their losses this year, over the past month, they've lost to TCU and Syracuse. I think they're both respectable, but they're trending a little bit, up now. I think Ed Cooley's starting to find out what his team is. It's still a team that's, very inconsistent, but on their best, that they can definitely, beat a Butler team that I think is just a little overrated. They're 9-2 as you see on the screen there, but some of their advanced metrics, they're still just a little bit lower than what you'd think for a team that's been looking as good as they are. So
plus 455 on the money line is Georgetown tonight.
Yeah, why not throw a little couple $5 there? Why not?
Yeah, just throwing it out there. You never know, right?
Yeah. All right, that's some college basketball. Again, if you want some DFS for college hoops, I got the playbook up on Fantasy Alarm right now for all of tonight's games. So go check that out. All right, wrap things up here with some NHL. We're covering a little bit of everything on today's show, and we got some hockey picks to give out from our producer here, Adam Bernard. Bring him in here to give some hockey out. He's been throwing out some of these bets on these Tuesday, Wednesday shows, and we got him again because it's a huge slate tonight, right, Adam, in hockey?
11-game slate tonight, absolutely. Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays are the big 3 nights, and Tuesday did not disappoint. We got 11 good ones tonight.
All right, so your first pick, you're going to the Vegas-Carolina game here.
Yeah, we're going to start with the road team money line. The Hurricanes have been very inconsistent, mainly due to a lack of reliable goaltending. They waived Antti Ranta recently. Freddie Anderson is out for the foreseeable future. Pyotr Kochetkov has been all right in his last 3 games, but overall, just like the team, inconsistent. Carolina's on a 2-game losing streak and has lost 6 of their last 8. Going to the flip side, Vegas, while they did endure a rough stretch of their own, they've bounced back, winning 5 of their last 6. Logan Thompson's getting the start tonight, who's gone 5-1-1 in his last 7 starts. They play similar styles. Vegas is playing better hockey lately. Carolina is very up and down, streaky. So I'll take a shot on the Golden Knights at plus 115 on the road tonight to get the win in Carolina.
A little road underdog to start out the hockey picks here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Vegas Golden Knights are still one of the top teams in the league. I know they started off really, really strong, and then they played really, really bad for a while. But, I think the Hurricanes will right the ship as the season goes on, but it's just not right now. They're not figuring it out right now, where I think Vegas is back to where they need to be.
Yeah, Vegas losing Aiden Hill again to another injury after just getting him back, too, is not helping them.
Not helping them, but remember, Logan Thompson was the guy who was supposed to be their starter last year, and then he got hurt, and he opened up the door for this revolving door of, Aiden Hill and everybody else. So, Vegas is one of those teams, as long as they have competent goaltending, they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you got to pick in Buffalo and Columbus, too.
Yeah, not an ideal matchup here. And that one you're going to want to turn on by the points. The Blue Jackets are the 5th worst team in the league. Buffalo's 8th. But the Sabres seem to have their crease settled with rookie netminder Devon Levi. You heard us talk a lot about him on Better Hockey Now. New episode's going to come out tomorrow night. He had a rough start to the year, went down to the minors, but now ever since he's come back, he's been stellar. 3-0-1 in those 4 starts. He's allowed 2 or few goals in all of those. .942 save percentage, so he's doing the work. Columbus is starting Daniil Tarasov, who just got lit up by the Devils in his first game back, and he's coming off a knee injury, so still might be some rust there. Buffalo's been playing better. Money line's too juiced, and but because Columbus does show up at times, I don't really want to go near the puck line, so I'll just take the Sabres to win in regulation, -115, bet MGM.
Columbus is 3-8-3 on the road this year. So to your point, I mean, taking them in regulation is probably the better bet, obviously, than the money line there.
Yeah, for sure. Puck line, because they can show up at times. I don't want to go, and Buffalo's not that good of a team where I think they can win by 2, but I think in regulation they can get it done.
Yeah. All right. How about Colorado and Chicago?
Yeah, this one, the Avalanche on the puck line -1.5, -105 at BetMGM. Chicago's on a 4-game losing streak, and they've lost by 2 or more 3 times during that stretch, and by an average score of 6-2. So they're not playing good hockey right now. Prior to their 2-game winning streak, before that, they had a similar 4-game losing stretch with similar numbers to what I just mentioned. The Avalanche have won 3 of 4 and have covered the puck line in 2 of those 3 victories. They did meet earlier this season. Colorado took care of them 4-0, and that was back when the Blackhawks were playing better hockey. They haven't scored more than 3 goals in a game since November 28th. This is the 5th best team in the league points-wise versus literally the bottom dweller in the league. And if you're the Avalanche, these are games you got to have. You're in a dogfight for the Central Division with Dallas and Winnipeg unexpectedly. You got to have these points, and they know that. They're starting Alexander Georgiev tonight. This is an opponent you would normally put your backup out there, but they want the points. They're going with their 1A. So I think they get a cushy win here, and they can win by 2 at least. All
right. And then your last pick here, the Ottawa Senators have fired their head coach, DJ Smith, and you got a pick in this one with that in mind, huh?
So because that's been a theme on this show is like, hey, you follow those coaches being fired, and if you did it with the Minnesota Wild after they fired Dean Evison, you rode that for 3 wins. There's been examples of that. So let's do it again. Jacques Martin taking over on an interim basis, and here's the other part of that. He brought in the franchise's greatest player, Daniel Alfredson, as an assistant coach. So, I mean, just the narrative alone of like the coach taking over. Now you got this, a legend in the locker room of the franchise. So if you like that bounce back narrative, -115 on the money line at Caesars. The Sens are on a 4-game losing streak. And yes, Arizona is a better team this year, but they're not that much of a better team that Ottawa can't jump them tonight for sure. Connor Ingram's coming off a shutout, but he was atrocious in his previous 3 outings. So I'm not convinced he's bounced back and is playing well again yet, but just everything's lining up for this to be a coach victory. It's ripe for that. So and also bet on this game because you'll never care about Ottawa, Arizona, and the NHL ever again. So here you go.
I mean, listen, on this show that we love a good coach fired narrative. Got one this week, Chargers at home against Buffalo. Might be leaning the Chargers' way there.
That one might be a little bit much to overcome, but we'll see. I don't know. Buffalo's hot right now. But, yeah, listen, Ottawa, they've got – Ottawa was that team coming into the year that people thought they could get into the wild card picture, and they've been one of the worst teams in the league. So the talent is there. And, -115 tonight on the road at Arizona. Why not? Let's go with the coach firing narrative.
Of course. I can get fully behind that one. Thanks, Adam, for coming in here, giving some hockey picks out. Again, you said a new episode of Better Hockey Now is coming tomorrow. Tomorrow night, we're going to be doing a holiday-themed episode. Who's going to be getting a bike under the tree? Who's going to be getting a lump of coal in the stocking? You're going to have to find out. Love it. The holiday theme. All right, stay tuned for that on Fantasy Alarm, Bettor Sports Network YouTubes for the Better Hockey Now. I know on Fantasy Alarm, we got a number of hockey articles if you're interested in more NHL stuff. Waiver wire, DFS for tonight.
Josh Wag's doing betting plays for us all the time. So.
Betting plays from Wags, usual suspect there for the betting picks. So, check it all out if you haven't already for Fantasy Alarm All Pro subscription. That wraps it up for us. Tomorrow, me and Howard Benner are giving out some early leans for the weekend's NFL games. Also probably giving out some NBA, some college basketball picks as well for tomorrow night. But coming up after us, 5 p.m. Eastern, we got NBA DFS Live with Jon Impemba and James Grande. So stay tuned for that. Fantasy Alarm and Bettor Sports Network YouTubes. And then tonight, the Bettor Cast at 7 p.m. Eastern is the NFL Trivia with Moose and Keith. So go download the Bettor Cast app if you haven't already, and check that out. All right, that's about it for us. John, awesome stuff here. Good luck to all your NBA bets. I know I'll be tuned into John Morant's return tonight and see if your Celtics can pull it out on the road there too.
Love it.
All right, we'll see you guys later, and good luck and take care.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor